Hey yo, hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Star Wars Union. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, before I actually get into Star Wars Union, the story itself, I want to comment about the hardcover edition here. This is part of the Dark Horse's 30th anniversary collection for Star Wars. What Dark Horse did is they took 12 of their favorite Star Wars stories and made a 12-volume series. And they all put them in hardcovers. And they're very nice, beautiful black hardcovers. Just very nice overall. Even the pages inside are nice and glossy and they're hard, and they have a great feel to them. And they're very beautiful looking hardcovers. And I really like the idea that Dark Horse did with this. Some of the stories, and again, I don't remember all the stories, but I like Union, some of the Legacy stuff, Jedi vs. Sith, Dark Lighter, some of the Boba Fett stuff. I think it's called Death, Lies, and Treachery. Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which was the first novel to be released for Star Wars. So I think this is a very nice idea. The only complaint I have with this is the fact that they stopped there. I don't see why they didn't put some of the Thrawn trilogy in hardcover, or some of the X-Wing stuff, or even the Dark Empire stuff. Now, it's okay for me because I have the Thrawn trilogy, I have most of Dark Empire, but it would have been nice to put some of the more popular and better stories in hardcover also, but I'm not going to complain too much. But on a whole, I'm glad I got this hardcover edition rather than get the paperback that is available. It's just a lot better looking. So with that said, let's get into the story itself. Star Wars Union. Now, Star Wars Union is the story about the wedding between Luke Skywalker and his wife, Mara Jade. Now, before I actually get into the story itself, it seems like I keep dragging on to something else. Let's talk a little bit about Mara and Luke's relationship, because really that's what makes the story. And all the relationships, romances in Star Wars, Mara's and Luke's are definitely the most evolved and changed relationship throughout its whole process. Because, see, before they were ever in a relationship, before they were ever married and in love, Luke and Mara were actually enemies. See, Mara Jade was the Emperor's hand, and she was kind of a personal assassin for him. And the last command that Mara ever had was to kill Luke Skywalker. And then she had a vision of Luke killing the Emperor, which is a false vision, but a vision nonetheless. After the Emperor died, the command would always haunt her, so she became obsessed with killing Luke Skywalker, even though she never knew who he was. So eventually when they met during the Heir to the Empire series, the comics, Mara outright hates Luke and wants to kill him. And then Luke just kind of goes, why do you want to kill me? Why do you hate me? I don't know who you are. But she upfront tells him, Luke Skywalker, yeah, you, I'm going to kill you. I hate you. It's going to happen. So they have kind of this bumping of head conflict, Mara hating Luke and Luke not understanding why. Luke wants to make amends between her and try to become friends with her, but she's just not having any of it. Throughout the whole entire Thrawn trilogy, Dark Force Rising, Last Command, and of course Heir to the Empire, their relationship turns from kind of enemies into partners, into grudging respect, and then eventually into friendship. It's through Luke's compassion, understanding, and respect for Mara that makes her overcome the hold that the Emperor has on her. And she finds out that Luke is the only person that's ever given her a real chance and any real compassion throughout her life. Now, throughout the next few years, Luke and Mara would be friends. They never really got into a relationship until at least 10 or 11 years later. Which they've only been in a relationship for a short time before they get married. But they do fall in love and they decide to get married. Now, Union takes place 11 years after the Heir to the Empire and the Thrawn trilogy, and takes place 20 years after Return of the Jedi. So at this point, Luke is around the age of 43, because I believe he was around 23, 24, 25 at the end of Return of the Jedi. So he's about in his 40s. Him and Mara get married in this. So this has a bit of a time difference between Return of the Jedi. But the story itself is a basic romance story. It's a basic wedding story, kind of like, you know, Superman's marriage with Lois Lane, or Peter Parker with Mary J. Watson. It's kind of that romance story. It focuses a lot on the relationship between Mara Jade and Luke, but also the relationship between a husband and a wife. Now, I'll get into that a little bit later. There is a little bit of conflict in this, because you have to understand the Empire is basically gone at this point. And this marriage not only is important to Luke and Mara, but it also symbolizes the healing process between what's left of the Empire and the New Republic. See, Mara Jade was very much a big figurehead, although not known by everyone, but was a figurehead in the Empire. So, the Emperor's hand marrying the Jedi Master, it's kind of like if Darth Sidious and Yoda got married in some kind of twisted interspecies erotica marriage. That would be really weird. So, anyways, it kind of symbolizes the healing process. A lot of what's left of the Empire does not like this. So some of their loyal people go around and try to foil the wedding, but it doesn't really go off very well. They kind of get screwed at every turn. Especially sending an assassin to kill Mara Jade, who is basically a very skilled Jedi Knight at this point. Very stupid idea. Anyways, with that said, let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Well, good. The first thing is I like is they really analyze Luke and Mara's relationship through this. They really give kind of good perspective of how much they evolved to this point and how much they really have affected each other's life. When you look back to when Mara was first introduced, even when she had her own series as the Emperor Hand, she's very much a proud woman who's a loner. But when you read this, you get to really see how much Luke brings out a more compassionate, loving side, where she's able to kind of let go and be herself. In addition to this, this has a really good perspective on how a husband and a wife should treat each other, because through a lot of it, Luke's friends Luke's married friends, like Wedge and Han, etc., are telling him, you know, how you should treat Mara and how you should be a husband, how you're not always going to win, and how you're going to get into arguments, but you always have to be supportive and stuff like that. And Mara's getting advice from like Leia and Wedge's wife and a bunch of other married women, saying that, you know, as much as you would like to do this for Luke, or as much as you like to do this for your relationship, you have to kind of plan things out and you have to do things correctly. And there's some really good perspective on relationships in here, and I really enjoyed that. The art is fantastic and beautiful. They really captured the characters very well. I like how they make some of the characters look older. Like Luke looks like he's in his 40s in this, which is good. It gives kind of a growth to the characters, which I like. In particular, Mara was drawn very nicely, and surprisingly, Han was drawn pretty good, except for the very last panel. He looks like he has a huge nose. A lot of favorite characters show up in this too, so expect to see a lot of cameo appearances. Bad. Well, very much this is a relationship story, so if you're going into this expecting a true Star Wars story or an action-packed story, you're not going to get this. This is really for people that enjoy the Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker relationship, or just enjoy kind of those romantic comic book relationships in general. And you know you're out there. You can be the toughest badass in the world, and you're going to have that sentimental side. I consider myself kind of a, I don't know, macho man, a tough guy, but I enjoy romance stories. I have that soft spot, so I guess that I enjoyed that about this. But if you don't like that, then you probably won't enjoy this. In addition to that, the Imperial conflict was very badly handled, I would say. It really actually took away from some of the story. I would have very much liked this to be more about the wedding and Mara and Luke, rather than the Imperials being, oh, well, we better wreck their wedding, because that's all we really can do anymore. So stupid. But those are the two bads about it. But they're pretty significant bads, because it really determines on whether or not you're going to buy this. On a whole, I enjoyed this story, but this story is not for everyone. Like I said, if you want a traditional Star Wars story or an action-packed Star Wars story, you're not going to get it here. If you're looking for a story that is very much a Mara-Luke story, or if you want something a little bit different and you like romance stories, if you have that dark little side to you that you don't want anyone to know, that you enjoy those romance stories, then this is something that you will enjoy. So it's really up to you. Is it necessary to your Star Wars collection? Probably not, but I think it would be a good addition to it. You can get the hardcover here for like $19, or you can buy the trade for $14 I think in stores, and then online for like $3. So it's really up to you. But I really recommend that trade because it's very beautiful. Now I think I'm gonna pick more of the 30th anniversary series up. I want to get Darklighter next, but I'm going for the X-Wing series after this. So with that said, I'm gonna end this review here. Star Wars Union, good story. Not everyone's gonna enjoy it. It's really up to you. This is Andrew saying peace out for now, and may the Force be with you.